Welcome to the Military OneSource podcast. Military OneSource is an official program of the Defense Department with tools, information, and resources to help families navigate all aspects of military life. For more information, visit militaryonesource.mil.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Bruce Moody. Today we're going to talk about military family life counselors. Yeah, normally on this podcast, we try to keep it acronym free. Today's going to be a total fail. So you're going to hear us talk about military family life counselors. We're going to be referring them as MFLCs. It's just how we refer to them. So they're awesome people. So we hope you won't mind. I know we're adding to what is already a ridiculously long list of acronyms that you need to get through a given day in the military, but I think it's worth it. We'll get to that interview with Raymond Hewitt in just a second, but I do want to let you know that we really encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. We cover a lot of topics that are really helpful for military families. So please subscribe, share this podcast. And one way to share the podcast is to simply let people know that they can find us on their favorite podcast app or YouTube simply by searching for Military OneSource. Lastly, we have a feedback option, a link in the program notes. You can send us your questions, your comments, maybe an idea for a future episode. Raymond, let's get to our conversation with you. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to call you Ray because we already talked about that, and that's what you prefer. And you're an MFLC. You're a military family life counselor. Where are you?
I'm located at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida.
Wonderful. Okay, sunny Florida. All right. So let's just get some general understandings. So we're going to talk today about the work that you do with single service members, troops that are new to the military. I'm a retired Navy, so I can totally relate. But what are the other areas in which MFLCs are working in the military community?
Yes, so we are all over. Some of the places you will find MFLCs across bases and military community are in schools. I know we have many located around the schools, both on base and off of base in the Tampa area, as well as anything like child development centers. I know for the Air Force, we have things like the military, like a family readiness location. We have members there, as well as select units that we may be embedded into. So there's always options on finding MFLCs, whether it's to work more so with children or to work with individuals or even to work with the family. We're pretty much across the base in different areas, as many as we can be.
So what people probably have in mind when they think of a counselor is two people sitting across from each other, comfy chairs, that sort of thing. You guys, it's a different sort of experience. And maybe the way I would describe it is we maybe have heard the expression management by walking around. You guys are counseling by walking around. So explain that to us.
Yeah, so you hit it on the head there. Walk around counseling. That is the backbone of what we do. Our goal is to be in as many places. You guys see our faces. Any members we work with see our faces as much as possible. That way they get really familiar with us. That way, as we're walking around, chatting, they get used to us and see what we're doing. And what we really get to do is kind of be the morale. We get to be, the best friends, professional best friends, if you would, of course. Chatting about different topics and issues. Sometimes it's really just getting to know the members. Other times it's going to be diving deeper into some of the issues they may be having around their military life or their personal lives. It's really a chance to seek out and look for additional help in other areas. They may be able to just find it right within their unit. Now, there are thresholds we deal with. We're non-medical, so we're not going to be making anything like any kind of client charts or any kind of treatment planning. It's not for those more severe problems, but for those day-to-day military issues, for those day-to-day stressors you may be dealing with, we're able to really be mobile and go to the people where they're at. Of course, we can always do the in-office thing also, if that's more comfortable. But some of my favorite moments are walking up to someone, near their work area and being able to chat with them for a little bit. And they know that, hey, he may be back tomorrow. He may be back next week. I can continue this conversation if I need to.
So I can relate to that. When I was a junior sailor, I would describe myself as not the best manager of my stress. And you could see that a mile away. And the MFLCs definitely saw that. And, I would find myself highly stressed and then having this person come up and just chatting with me, but also in the process asking me some really interesting questions that kind of challenged the way I was currently navigating my stress life, which was badly. And they were very, very helpful. So what are the sort of things that you're addressing when you're talking to service members?
So all kind of things come to mind. I've been lucky to have so many different conversations while doing this job. Some of the most common things I tend to come across, though, are things like feelings of isolation and loneliness, stress of deployment, difficulty with balancing work and life, difficulty in transitions, not just deployments, but also PCSing, moving, across the country or out of the country and back. And just general daily military life stressors that, can just happen from a long day of work, of course. Single service members and service members in general, some of them have those partners they can go back to, but not all of them. So it may even be more difficult for some individuals because without partners, children, and other strong support systems, it can be even harder to seek out that support that they're looking for in their community or even through counseling, which is really why it's nice to be able to walk around and interact with those individuals because they may not know where to go in those moments. They may be feeling, all alone or I'm brand new here and hey, but maybe this friendly face can, chat with me a little bit.
Yeah, the brand new aspect of it is really interesting to me because you're new. Again, a lot of single service members, we're talking about people who are new to deployments, new to having, frankly, a job with a lot of responsibility to it that you take personally and you want to do really well. And it can cause a lot of stressors. What do you think that service members see when they see you coming? What are they getting right and what are they getting wrong?
So we're talking about misconceptions, right? So I think probably the biggest misconception I tend to run into and I've had to kind of combat is that seeking help, seeking support is some kind of sign of weakness or it's going to impact their career in some way. A lot of service members believe that talking to someone about personal issues, mental health concerns could really affect their opportunities, their reputation, or even just their standing within their unit. What I really try and encourage, what I really try and talk about anytime, someone gives me a second, is in reality, seeking out help is a sign of health, is a sign of strength. It shows self-awareness. It shows emotional intelligence. And it's really a proactive approach to maintaining a really strong mental and emotional well-being. In addition to whether or not to even approach and get help, some people also kind of think the MFLC is only for individuals with family or like family related situations. We do provide that, right? We're one of the few people in a lot of bases and areas who can provide work with couples and spouses. But in addition to that, we offer so many things for individuals without those family connections too, whether it's personal challenges, stress from, on the job situations, again, deployment, moves, navigating those general military life demands. All of those different things are things we're able to come up and discuss with them. It's not just about that family aspect. When people hear that term family, a lot of people walk away. But family is a very general term that we use. I don't have to define family for you. So a lot of members come defining family as people back home, close friends, peers, people just in their current lives. Maybe they're really close to the people they just met in the last 3 months. Well, whatever family means to you, that's the family we're talking about, the military family, your family, the whole thing is a family.
The definition or the structure of a family has changed a lot. A lot of people are dealing with elderly parents while they're on active duty. And so what they define as a family could also include their parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The definition of family has really expanded and it's a really personal thing. A lot of people will go through life and, have one definition of family. But what I've been able to see too, especially in the military family, is redefining of that. A lot of people define the military as their family. They see those people they work with every day as their brothers and sisters. So being really open to how someone defines what they consider to be family is such a crucial point to, all of the things that we're going to talk about today and all the interactions I tend to have as an MFLC.
These interactions, they really do require trust. How do you build up trust with the service members? Maybe some who are reluctant to talk about personal issues.
So, yes, we already kind of touched upon this. I mentioned familiarity earlier, seeing my face. That is my first step always. The more often you can see my face, the more often you get used to me and doing my job, the more likely you're going to come and talk with me and speak with me. MFLC services are optional, confidential, free of charge, right? No one is required to come and see us. You may have some people who get encouraged to come and see us, but no one is required to come and see us. So most of the people who will seek us out have probably come across us doing one of our other jobs, whether it's, consultation, a walk around counseling, as we mentioned, just general outreach and saying hello. Things like providing OSD approved presentations or the kind of briefings. Those are those moments that members get to see us as we're walking around doing what we're doing, becoming a bit more familiar with us. The other thing I always like to really highlight with them is the fact that, none of the stuff we discuss is going anywhere else. It's all confidential. A lot of service members, we already talked about how a lot of members may be worried about that career impact. And so that privacy notion is so important. Our confidentiality is only second to chaplains. The only times I have to break confidentiality is if someone is in danger, whether it's the member or someone they know that may be threatened, if there's any kind of child abuse, domestic violence, and any illicit substance use. Beyond those topics, everything else that's brought to me is confidential. And I really try and highlight that whenever a member may show some interest in what we're going to talk about or in wanting to get any kind of services, so they know they can be at ease and it's a safe space for them to talk about. There's no judgment located in there. We want to build that judgment-free, safe space for them. They can talk freely and openly and not worry about, someone judging them. We're going to work with them on those goals, on their worries, concerns, and moving forward in all those things.
Ray, how can MFLCs provide more accessible support to single service members who might be uncomfortable reaching out for help?
As I said before, like familiarity, I think comfortability goes with that. I want people to be as comfortable as they can when they see me around. So I try and just be around when normal things are going on. As a normal flow of activities are happening, people are walking through my building, doing their jobs. I want the members to see me around. I want them to visually point me out, know what I do. The more they can recognize me and see what I'm doing in those areas, then the more they can probably feel safe to seek me out and say, hey, I've seen you before. Hey, I recognize you from this. Can we chat for a second? In addition, I also like to encourage camaraderie with the unit. A lot of times I'll see members come in and they've been there for a year and maybe they haven't figured out what to do next or how to meet new individuals. So anything the unit is doing, I really try and engage and encourage members to get involved with, whether it's on base, off base, but whatever the unit or the base is putting on, I really try and encourage individuals to seek out those different events so they can start making those strong connections.
I'm really glad that you mentioned activities maybe outside of the workplace. What role does the military community play in supporting service members, and how can that be strengthened by the help of the MFLCs?
So what I've seen the most is the military community really provides both on and off base activities and engagement for members. As an MFLC, I want to know about as many of those activities as I can, as many as these programs as I can, so I can connect service members to those programs. We really desire as MFLCs to be force multipliers for those programs. The more referrals and encouragements I can give to members, the more they can get involved and really start building that community that they're, most likely so looking for, especially when they first move and get to new single locations like we've been talking about.
This is all so interesting to me. And again, I just have a ton of memories of the MFLCs who would come around our shop and they just got to be familiar faces. And there were people who you could have really good conversations with. And I wonder from your perspective, what that does to combat the stigma around mental health support in the military.
Thank you for that question. So one of our bigger goals as MFLCs is to normalize those feelings that get us stuck, those fears, those stressors, those worries, and we're going to look for solutions in those things, right? Everyone has them. Everyone is going through something. Everyone is experiencing some kind of emotion. So how do we get them to those moments where they actually are willing to explore that and try and get past those initial feelings of this is uncomfortable? And that's through that simple walking around. Maybe it's a simple consultation I'm having with someone and they lay out some behaviors and I help them connect that stressful day at work to feeling really frustrated afterwards and maybe having some not kind words for people in our lives like loved ones or, roommates or someone along those lines. Mental health is a term that has been around for a long time and different people define it different ways. As a family life counselor, we are very pro-relationship. And so what we encourage is not only while talking about these things with us, but we want to get them involved in different areas that they see the benefit of working on these mental health issues and working on these worries and concerns and stuck emotions. Because as we start to progress through these stuck emotions, we can improve these relationships we're making. And as your relationships improve, our emotions also tend to improve. So we're really trying to get them to see that this first little piece of recognizing some unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy thoughts can really lead to, creating a full and balanced life.
Wonder if you can share an example of working with a service member, somebody who was initially hesitant to seek help, but maybe later found it beneficial, without naming names, of course.
Yes, of course. So the one that really comes to mind was this gentleman, no specifics given, but we'll give that much. And I had seen him before. I had seen him in his different work areas. He got moved around to different locations, and I would see him working in different areas. And one day I got a call from a different member, one of his superior officers, and they're like, he was looking to talk with you. And this guy, he's spoken to me a few times before, kind of, hey, how's your day going? And tell me about his day a little bit, but had never approached me before, in this way. And I was like, of course. So I went to his location and he was like, hey, kind of just let me know. I've seen you at the gates. I've seen you around. I've gotten used to it a little bit. And hey, I'm struggling today. And I was so thankful that he reached out to me. He's like, it's just been a rough day. I just wanted someone to talk with. And he told me he had never thought about seeking out mental health care before. He had never really known who to reach out to. But he was struggling with a few things, some homesickness, some other things that were coming up in his career and stuff that he just wasn't sure how to approach and who to talk with those about. And so we started having a conversation. And by the end of it, he felt much more comfortable. He had some ideas of who else he could pursue conversations with. And that was simply from, him realizing I was around. There wasn't one moment that necessarily seemed to tell him, like, this is the guy to reach out to. But that familiarity we spoke about, that seeing my face seemed to really have been what let him know, like, hey, this guy cares. This guy wants to know what's going on with me. Let me actually give him a call.
Nice. My last question to you would be to share some advice, because you work with single service members. What would be your advice on balancing their professional and personal lives to maintain mental well-being?
This is a topic I speak on often with my members. We know that careers are so important to members. We know that when people come in, that the career talk is a very big discussion, rank and moving up and progression. It's all so important in the military. And so a lot of individuals tend to heavily focus on that, right? They tend to focus on what they're doing and kind of a lot of times leave that personal life to the side sometimes, or that balance to the side. What we want to do is identify those imbalances with them, not for them, right? It's still their work and everything else. We want to make sure they have an idea of what those things are. I'll often ask service members, before entering the military or before maybe moving to their new location, what did you used to be involved into? And kind of explore what their hobbies were beforehand and what went by the wayside. And we start exploring, well, what keeps them away and how do we start bringing those things back in? And as members start to kind of put some more personal life stuff back in, they start to see some improvements. Because the thing is, both of these halves are extremely important. And I really emphasize that. Feeling good at work and the good work you do makes it so much more rewarding to go have fun. But also when you have a lot of fun and your personal life's in a healthy place, work is so much more rewarding and fulfilling. So if we can really find that nice flow state of getting both of those things met, it's such a energizing and rewarding time period for us. And so we're really trying to encourage and explore those areas with any members.
Well, Ray, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for bringing back so many positive memories. And I mean this, I can remember some of the conversations word for word that I had with my MFLCs. So thank you for what you do. And thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Bruce. It was a pleasure. And if you ever need anything else, you let me know.
We will. All right. Thanks a lot. I want to remind everybody that Military OneSource is an official resource of the Defense Department. Please go ahead and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, because we cover a wide range of topics to help military families navigate military life. I'm Bruce Moody. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.